I'm going to bring up my screen share here because I'm going to show. Oh, I would actually have to share my screen. 1 second.
Did you turn off your share on accident?
Well, I turned off because I didn't want to share the document anymore. But
oh, that's right. You switched.
all right.
Now, an important note, right? Before you start talking about password policy, there's some really good guidance online from places like NIST or even places like compliance policies like CIS and things like that that can help you get a good start on password policy. So you don't have to start from scratch. You can if you want to. Maybe your password policy is better than all of theirs. Or maybe you just start with theirs and you're just fine.
Exactly. So you alluded to this earlier. You showed Etsy Shadow. And I have this regular unprivileged user account here, rel, and their password. That's their encrypted password. And the format is that the beginning part is the encryption algorithm that's used, and then the salt, and then the actual encrypted string once the salt is applied using that algorithm.
Fun fact, you can use OpenSSL to generate these. So if you ever needed to like pre-populate a user account with a generated password, you can pipe it through, or can you pipe it? I think you can use STDN, or you can just do OpenSSL password, PASSWD, and a -6, which tells it to do that algorithm. And then it'll ask you for a password and give you the string on the outside.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
You can also do like user add -p with this big string that'll assign that exact string as their password. I tend to like pipe a password into password using -- standard input.
Somebody likes plain text passwords.
Well, yeah, because I have to send the user an email with their plain text password so they can log in for the first time. Anyway, what I wanted to show is this like extra information here. So the extra information is things like the day on which their password was last changed in the number of days that elapsed since January 1st, 1970. So this password was last changed 20,217 days since January 1st, 1970. You get the minimum number of days they're required to keep a password. So this person can change it whenever they want. They don't have to keep it for a certain period of time. The maximum number of days they can keep the password, which is 99,999 days, which essentially makes it infinite. 7 days in advance of that expiration, they will be warned that their password is about to expire. And then the last two fields, one is the date on which their account expires. So their account will just automatically not be able to be used after that date. And the trailing field on the end doesn't actually have anything in it. But you can look at it in Man5 Shadow. It actually goes through all these things, right? Login name, encrypted password, date of last password change, minimum password date, maximum. And down here, password inactivity period. So if their password is expired, you can give them essentially a grace period where they can still log in, but it'll automatically launch them into a dialog to change their password during that period. And then the account expiration and the trailing field is nothing. All right. So Nate, the way we work with this is, well, we could go in and manually edit it, I guess.
That sounds like an awesome way to get that done.
Yeah.
Totally not error prone either.
No, especially because I'm an expert at calculating days that have elapsed since January 1st, 1970.
Yes, I can just do that in my head.
Exactly.
So chage, right? CHAGE, isn't that the command you're looking for?
Chage is about changing the password aging policies for a user, changing the age of a user. And so it uses those fields in Etsy Shadow and then builds you this like human-friendly report. And then you also use chage for making adjustments to it as root. So for example, if I want to set their expiration date to be tomorrow, right? So right here, their account now expires tomorrow. And if I look at their entry in Etsy Shadow, all right, there's now this data populated in here. That's the date on which their password will, or their account will expire in the number of days that elapsed since January 1st, 1970. But one other one I use a lot is setting the date of last password change to 0.
Forcing them to change the password again?
Yeah. Right. So what I did was I changed this first field, which was like 20,000 something, 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 the date of their last password change to 0. And that means when they log in, they're forced to set a new password, right? So if I just SSH rel at localhost and I type in my password, right? You are required to change your password immediately because of the administrator doing this to you. So you type in your current password, your new password again, and that makes everything okay again. Because it replaces that 0 with the date of last password change, which is today. So it'll fix the field for you automatically. What else? So the other thing is, how do these things get set initially?
Oh, in the chat, Aaron asks, is that different from the password -e username command? I think that's for expiring the password.
Let's see.
I always use chage to do it. I don't know what. Right there, expire. This is a quick way to expire the password.
Oh, interesting. Let's see.
Same. True Linux methodology is giving you 28 ways to do the same thing.
All right. So I just set the person's password. Grep. All right. So now we have a non-zero value there. So if we do a password -e. Oh, it does the exact same thing.
There you go.
Yep.
That might even be quicker because it's just a single flag instead of putting in, a flag and a value. Yeah.
The other place where we can go to find some of the defaults for these, etsy login.defs. So this is like when I add a new account to my machine, what happens? So for example, you get a varspool mail file because right here it says this is where you should get your mail directory created. But there's also right here, default mask, and then right down here, this is our password aging policy settings. So by default, passwords do not expire because they expire every 9,999 days, which we will not be here when that happens.
Are you sure?
Oh, no, the server may be here. I will not be here. The past min days, right? So they have to keep their password a certain amount of days before they can change it again. The warning days, so their password expired, or it's about to expire. When they log in, we will start warning them 7 days in advance their password is about to expire. And then there's one more that's not set by default, which is pass min len. That's your password minimum length requirement. And that's another thing that can go into your SOP. Like, what is your password length or strength requirements? And there are ways that you can enforce that.
I don't know that we have time to go into it today, but there's also a whole other rabbit hole you could dive into about password complexity.
Yeah, that's actually what the minlen is
Well,
password.
There's more, or is len physically just the number of characters, but then there's also like scoring based on complexity.
Yes.
Can get complicated.
We use the word length and scoring interchangeably. And so you're thinking about in the PAM configuration where you set values for an uppercase character is worth a certain amount of points and lowercase is worth a certain amount of points, other characters. And so that's actually contributing to the length of the password, which is really the sophistication of the password.
Rick has helped us out and calculated how many days that is. What is it? 99,999. And it's approximately 273 years.
Yep. And like I said, I will not be here. I will not work here anymore.
The RHEL lifecycle only allows for 10 years unless you extend that with another 2 or 4, right? So if your server is still living and you haven't changed your password in 273 years, you've got a lot of problems going on there. Plus, probably a vampire working for you.
Look, Nate, I have faith because, our servers are going to be walled up in some closet. Somebody's going to put some drywall over the closet door. And nobody's going to know that there's a whole machine room in there clicking away.
Go. Why does this wall hum?
What are all these devices on the network that I can't physically find? because it has happened. All right. What else should we talk about?